Ooh, day 18. Wow, we've made it really far so far. So, Legay is going to talk to us all about Santa's helpers and Santa's addresses.
Yes, where you can find him. So don't visit him in person, send your letters.
Yeah, these are post boxes, okay? Not like his house.
In some cases, he has his own post office, and when we get to some European ones, he has more than one.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get that.
So, we will only talk about the nice helpers today, because the more dark and evil helpers, that's a topic for December 24th. I know you're waiting for the Christmas horror.
Yeah, but they can wait.
So let's get started with the Snow Maiden.
Ooh.
So that is a heathen Slavic concept, and she turned into Santa's granddaughter, or the granddaughter of Ded Moroz.
Ah, so
So
this is
this,
the Russian one, yeah?
yay,
I'm trying to keep track.
right. So I will have to write that down for you. Her name is Snegurochka.
Oh yeah, I definitely wouldn't know how to spell that.
But you can call her the Snow Maiden if this is
that
difficult to pronounce. So she's very kind. She wants you to be okay. She usually comes in a blue and white dress with white fur trimming, like her
hmm,
grandfather.
right.
And her hair and skin are as pale as snow. So you often see these Russian girls portraying her as live action Snegurochka, and some of them have blonde hair, but they're wearing like platinum blonde wigs for this because that's how light the hair is supposed to be.
Oh.
And she also has a kokoshnik, and you probably don't know what a kokoshnik is, and that is why I have some pictures for you.
Thank goodness.
So this is the traditional Russian headdress, and it's usually a bit upper class. It can be made with gems, for example, and as you can see, it's very elaborate. So it's not just something that you put together from scrap, not like Finnish Santa's bathrobe. Snegurochka is kind and good with children, and this is why she helps her grandfather with his holiday business. So she keeps him company while he's riding in his sleigh with his three horses. They don't have names as far as I know, so it's not like with Sinterklaas in the Netherlands. And because her grandfather can be rather strict, children can be nervous when they meet him. Like, he's a very imposing figure. He's a very tall, very fit old man. He's a heathen god at his core. So he's a little bit intimidating, and that's why they often prefer, especially smaller children, they often prefer to go to his granddaughter because, she's also just a girl.
Hmm, I totally get it.
Yes. She has a sad backstory. So nowadays, everything is happy and fine with her. The modern version, but the old fashioned version, is actually the daughter of Ded Moroz, of Russian Santa, and a goddess that is called the Spring Beauty. And Snegurochka herself wasn't able to feel love, but she wanted to live among people. And when she went to a human settlement, she started to feel the love of mortals. So her parents are heathen gods in that case. And it's a little bit different with gods. So you can imagine this being upper class versus middle class or lower class. In upper class families, you often had the case that parents were giving their kids to the hands of a nanny, for example. So they didn't personally take care of their kids. And this felt a bit emotionally cold to the children because they didn't get that much love from their parents back then. But in middle class or lower class families, it was common that parents would take care of their own children. So what they mean when they say she started to feel that love among humans is not something adult, but it's more like the emotional bonding that people have with their families that she didn't really get.
Right.
Her mother then gifted her some love, and you could see that as Snegurochka gets to know what it is to have emotional bonds with people when she goes to the human world, and she talks to her mother about it, and her mother says, "Oh yeah, that sounds nice, we should also have an emotional bond." She gives her that, and the problem with it is that her father is Father Frost,
Hmm.
and that means that she's partially made of frost, and this love given to her by the spring beauty, by her mother, warms her so much that she just melts.
Wow.
That is the tragic original story of the heathen characters. And later on, she turned into Dien Moros's granddaughter and his helper. So originally, that was her father. But he is thought to be a very old man, and she's thought to be a very young girl. So it doesn't really fit with father and daughter anymore. And he became so old because he turned into a Christianized version. And these saints, like Saint Nicholas, for example, they are mostly very elderly men. Um, so
Yeah.
he outgrew her. um, there's some art concerning Snegurochka, but it's mostly in Slavic areas. For example, you have Alexander Afanasyev's The Poetic Outlook on Nature by the Slavs. Alexander Afanasyev lived in 1868, and he also collected fairy tales. So he wrote about mythology, for example. And he mentions her in the 19th century, and the 19th century is already the Christianized version. Then you have her in Slavonic Fairy Tales of 1874. It's a story about the so-called Snow Child, and that gives her a different backstory. So you have this elderly childless couple, and we've seen these people in the video about Saint Nicholas. They went to Saint Nicholas, or the husband went to Saint Nicholas and stole his sheets.
Not a
And then the
sheets.
child was right, and the son was transported to Babylon as a slave, and then he came back with a tornado. If you haven't seen this, go back and watch the video. So in this case, they also do something weird. It's not stealing a dead saint's sheets this time, but it's building a snow girl. So this is a little bit like Pinocchio, actually. They build a snowman, but it's really a snow girl specifically. And that girl comes alive, and then she partakes in the Yule celebrations and the winter solstice celebrations, and that contains jumping over a fire. So typically, young people would go in pairs. So you would have your girlfriend, you would take her by the hand, and the two of you would jump over the Yule fire for good luck for the next year. And she does that on her own because she's too small to have a boyfriend.
Oh.
And when she jumps over the fire, she is burnt. She turns into a white cloud and floats away into the sky because she's made of snow. She's cooked to death.
Oh God.
Russian fairy tales for you. Sorry, no,
No, it's
they're not. They're
it's.
not like. They're not all like that. No, they're
Okay.
actually nice, but
I believe you.
it's what people expect that it's somehow horrifying. But no, it's really the Grimm's fairy tales are far more horrifying than the Russian fairy tales I know. Okay, then in 1873 you have a play, and that is when her modern name emerges. That is the play Snegurochka. Very famous composers like Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov in 1880, 1881 have some works referring to the Snow Maiden. So his is called A Snow Maiden, a Spring Fairy Tale. And The actual modern version of her only shows up in the myth around 1935 to 1937. So this is during communism. Communism started in Russia in 1917, so about 20 years after communism started, Snegurochka became a part of this Ded Moroz myth. They had realized that they couldn't get rid of her grandfather, so they also allowed her to become part of it.
Gotcha.
And that is it with her. We'll talk about elves tomorrow, as far as Santa's workshop is concerned. Elves do, of course, make all the toys around Christmas time. Yes, but that is something you would know.
Oh, yeah.
We will go into detail when we talk about United States Santa. And yesterday I showed you the Yule Tomtes, so the Scandinavian version. And they're little house spirits. They look like garden gnomes. They're dwarfs. By now, we've had pictures of them, and we've had a video that contained reindeer. Right now, we have 2.38 billion Christians around the world. So, as I said in the video about reindeers, Santa really needs some sort of helper because he can't do it all on his own. And one reason why he can't do it all on his own is because Rudolph has to pee so much.
That's right. And if you don't believe us, you need to go back. Just, what was it, like 2 days? 2 days ago, day 16.
Exactly. So, yes, but I thought maybe even the reindeer are magical. You know, he has elves and he has flying reindeer, so something about them must be magical. And you suggested that maybe they just let it leak when they're in the air.
It's the only way I could see it working.
Yes, but I think maybe these reindeer are really so magical that they don't have to take a leak every 4.7 miles, which is 7.5 kilometers. So that is the Porunkusema distance. You should absolutely start using that. So, how far is the nearest McDonald's away to Porunkusema?
That's so funny.
Yeah, that would be nice. So, yes, more of the elves tomorrow in the United States Santa video because, you know, the elves are really something that is not very common outside the United States. So most traditions don't include elves. Some include the carol singers, and the carol singers can be really nice and whimsical, but they can also be horrifying, and we'll talk about horrifying carol singers. But the elves are a thing that is Scandinavian in the first place, and then it's also United States. The others don't really work with elves. So, question is, how does Santa bring his presents to people? Maybe there are different versions. And yesterday we've seen that there are a lot of not Santas. Okay. Let's close this with the addresses, and I think I sent you the addresses already. Do you have the link? Okay, so we will put this up, and a word about the addresses. So very often these addresses lead you to places that are named after Christmas things. One of the biggest scandals is that this year Australia doesn't have an address where you can send your letters to Santa. So people listening in Australia, they will have to send it to the United States or England, or maybe do something crazy and send your letter to Santa to Finland.
Yeah, you never know.
So, but we can go through it. So, in Austria, for example, you write to Santa Claus. As I said, although the saint is not Santa Claus in their case, it's Saint Thomas, and he has his own post office that is called the Christkindl post office, and Christkindl means baby Jesus. So, it's the baby Jesus post office, and
Aww.
it's also in Baby Jesus Alley, number 6.
Maybe Jesus Alley.
And the town is also called Christkindl, so the town is called Baby Jesus. That is a real town in Austria. A little bit of an overkill.
That's
And
pretty
it's funny reading this and translating this because they are really creative. When we're going to Belgium, you have two addresses because Santa has helpers, but some of them only speak Dutch and some of them only speak French in Belgium.
Hmm.
The Dutch version is that you write to Sinterklaas, that is his Dutch name, and the street where this office is, I'll write it down so maybe you can have a shot at it.
Just finishing my sandwich. Spania Strat. So I definitely feel like street is in there.
Yes.
Spania. That's the part that I need to get. Spania Dutch.
Where do they send you when you're naughty? And where does he come from? And where do the mandarin oranges come from?
Oh, Spain.
Spain Street.
Spain
Obviously.
Street. Of course. Spania. Of course, of course. Wow.
And the town where you send it is called Hemel. And you wouldn't know that, but we can translate it from German. So in German it's Himmel, which means sky, but it also means heaven. It's the same word for sky and heaven.
Oh. Okay.
And it's the same with the French version, so it's not the same town, but in French it's the town Ciel. And Ciel also means sky or heaven. And for the French version, you write to Saint Nicholas, obviously, because in France you have the bishop. You have that version.
Rue de Paris.
Yeah. So Paradise Street.
Very cute.
That's for the French version in Belgium, because there is also a French version for France, and it's different. Canada has a very funny address. So can you see this? Do you have the sheet in front of you?
Oh, I sure do. And it's very on the nose. It's perfect. North Pole, ho, ho, ho. That's great.
But the O's are zeros. So.
Yeah, of course, because it's like a postal code. That's so funny.
Okay, so Denmark, they call him Julemanden, and Julemanden means Yule Man. And you can read that he has his own post office, so post center in this case, of course 24, because it's December 24th. And this is in Copenhagen or Copenhagen. The rest of the world calls it Copenhagen. Right. So capital. Then Finland, you can write to Finland, and you don't even have to make up your mind whether you want to write to Nuttipukki or to Joulupukki. You just write to Santa Claus, because as I said, in many cases, these addresses are international. So you can write to Santa Claus because that is the more international name. And they state that he has a main post office, which means there must be others. This is just the main one.
Yeah.
I can't translate the Finnish street name. I'm sure it's similar to the other ones that I can translate. And you can actually send this to the Arctic Circle. So I don't know whether that is an actual town or whether they just have like a shack in the middle of the frozen wilderness that is called Arctic Circle. And they're transporting everything there. And then from there, they have to take it to the mountain where he lives. France calls him Père Noël, and Père Noël is Father Christmas. Père is father, and Noël is Christmas. I also can't translate this place name or street name, so yeah. Let's move on to Germany. So in Germany, you have 3 choices. You can write to the Christmas man, Weihnachtsmann. Weihnachten is Christmas.
Great.
And
it's like a proper title. Yeah, send it to the Christmas man.
Yeah. some call him that, and some call him Nikolaus. So we've had Nikolaus when we're talking about the bishop. This is the same person. And the third choice you have is to write to the Christkind. And Christkind means baby Jesus, so the Christ child in this case. And of course, you get bigger presents from baby Jesus. So if you write to Saint Nicholas, then you know you're getting some small presents on December the 6th. But the baby Jesus, that is for Christmas Eve, for the big present. So you should probably write to both.
Right. Yeah, just to be safe.
Right. And the Christmas man has a Christmas post office. That is what the street name means, and the place where you send it is an actual town. And that Himmelpfort means gate to heaven. That town is legitimately called Gate to Heaven.
Wow.
Second one doesn't have such a name, so the place name is not connected to Christmas, Hildesheim, but the street name is connected to Christmas, and that is Himmelstür, and that is again the door to heaven. So not the gate, but the door to heaven. Then Saint Nicholas has Nicholas Square in the first one. This is Nikolausplatz or Nicholas Square, and the town is also called Saint Nicholas. And the second one doesn't even have a street name, probably because it's a village, because the place name, Nikolausdorf, means Nicholas Village.
Oh, nice.
And then we have Baby Jesus, and Baby Jesus doesn't have street names, but has place names. And the first one is Heaven City, Himmelstadt. Then the second one is also Gate to Heaven. So this is Himmelpforten, but not the same as for the Christmas man. There are two. And the third one where you can write is Engelskirchen, which means Angel's Church. Then in the capital city of Greenland, in Nuuk, you have an address for Santa Claus, again the international name, and this one is called Julemandens Postkontor, and Julemanden is again is Santa Claus, and then Postkontor is a post office, and they are using the same name as the Danish because Greenland is still under Danish administration.
Mm.
Then I can't read the Chinese characters, sorry. But Hong Kong has a general post office. You write to Santa Claus, and sadly the address doesn't have anything to do with Christmas, but Hong Kong has its own address for Santa Claus or Father Christmas. And one reason for that is that Hong Kong used to be a British colony until 1997. So you have this British background, and of course, people living in Hong Kong at that time, British people who worked in the administration until 1997, they also needed a place where they could write to Santa Claus or to Father Christmas.
Right.
Then we have Norway, and you may remember the name Nisse. So Nisse is one of these house spirits, these small spirits that we talked about yesterday when we were talking about not Santa. So this is similar to the Tomte or the Christmas dwarfs of Scandinavian Christmas lore. So Julenisse means the small Christmas spirit. The post office, I can't translate the place name. Might be something that is connected to Christmas. Then Poland, the Polish one is called the Office of Saint Nicholas, but Nicholas is called Mikolas in Polish, so with an M. That is all I can translate so far from that, but I know the word Gora. So Gora means mountain, which means the place name is somewhere in the mountainous region. Then Portugal has Pai Natal, that is their version of Father Christmas, Pai, Father Natal Christmas, and Polo Norte. So Polo Norte is the North Pole. and it's somewhere in Portugal. Did you know that?
I had no idea that the North Pole was in Portugal.
Now you know.
Who would have thought?
Then we have the Russian one. Oh, um, there is no Russian alphabet version of this, but doesn't matter. Okay. So this is called Dom Dieda Morosa. Dom means house. Dieda Morosa, that is the genitive. So this is Father Frost house. Then the city is Veliki Ustyuk. Then this is in the county of Vologda in Russia, obviously. Okay, Slovakia has one that I can't translate. Spain is rather simple, Papa Noel in Polo Norte, so there is another North Pole in Spain.
Unbelievable. Spain and Portugal holding on to the North Poles. What is this?
It's probably on the border, so Portugal has one half of it and Spain has the other half, but it's the same town.
It's like an independent country that just, borders between.
And there is probably also a wormhole connecting it to the actual North Pole.
Ah, that makes a lot of sense.
In Sweden, you write to the Tomten. So Tomten are the Christmas dwarfs. And they live in Tomteboda. So Tomteboda is the Tomten area. Then Taiwan. I can't translate most of it, but you also write to Santa Claus in Taiwan. And two different addresses, or well, not addresses, but two different versions with Chinese characters. Then in the UK, you can either write to Santa or to Father Christmas. So for the traditionalists, you would, of course, write to Father Christmas. And he lives in a grotto. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we love Santa's grotto. There tends to be one at Lapland as well, but that's like it's like a festive place that we can go in England.
That's really nice, but it's underground, isn't it? Because a grotto is something like a cave.
Yeah, but so sometimes we'll make like an igloo above ground and we'll call that a grotto. Because we don't want to send kids underground. That sends a bad message. Like the mining days,
Especially in Scotland and Wales.
Yeah, quite right.
You can stay down there and you can start mining. Christmas is over.
Yeah. Where do you think the coal comes from?
Oh yes, I'm sure you have children mining coal for all the snowmen. Okay, it's in Reindeer Land, and I didn't even know that you had Reindeer Land. So, is that a town or something? Can you explain that?
I think it's a fictional place, Legate. I don't think it's a real place.
But you said you could travel to Santa's grotto, so...
Well, yeah, it's like mall Santas. There are places where Santas will be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good, and then we have Santa in the United States as the last one here. He lives in 123 Elf Road in the North Pole.
Wow.
And as far as I know, North Pole in the United States is in Alaska, right?
I would assume so. That makes the most sense.
Yes, I think it's a town in Alaska. But you can Google all of this, and we will let you have the list so you can go through it, and you can scare people in other countries by, for example, writing to Santa Claus in Taiwan.
That'd be funny.
What's happening? Where are all these letters coming from? What do they want from us?
Why do they know where we are? These are from other countries. Like, sorry. You can make sure to put in the letter that we sent you. Just extra publicity.
If you are a post worker in Taiwan and this gives you PTSD, like, we're not taking responsibility or anything, but you can come on the show and talk about it, like live therapy.
That'd be cool. If you're a Taiwanese postal worker for the Christmas letters, come and contact us. Or any other nation. We're happy to have anybody on board who deals with Christmas letters. That'd be interesting.
And if you come from Finland, we expect you to wear horns and a red bathrobe.
I'd be so disappointed if you don't.
Okay, that's it. You have plenty of addresses where you can write, and maybe not this year, except for the baby Jesus stuff. So you could still write to baby Jesus in Germany. I don't know whether this would arrive in time, because now it's the 18th, so probably not. But for next year, you know where your letter should go.
Too right. Well, handy. It helps prep people, doesn't it? Well,
Yay!
day
Done!
18. Thank you so much to my YouTube members and Patreon members for all the love and support. It's thanks to people like you that we can keep growing.